Welcome to the Navigating Business Decisions video series. I'm Grace LaConte, and today I want to review some findings from the study, which was done in collaboration with Kent State University students. We provided a survey to business owners and leaders in Northeast Ohio, and I interviewed 7 different business owners to have an even deeper understanding of how they make decisions and what is keeping them from having success in their business. So here are some things that were kind of surprising as we went through the information. And you can find this report at my website, laconteconsulting.com/Ohio-survey. We also have a 2-page summary if you'd rather not look at the entire 64-page report, but there is a lot of great information. So this video is just to give you an idea of more thoughts behind the sections in the report. So this section just goes over some of the interesting information that was shared, and we saw some patterns in how business owners were approaching their decisions, maybe not in a way that we were anticipating, or especially that I had seen as a business consultant for the last 10 years with other owners. And this could be based on the time. The survey was conducted in fall of 2024, right before the presidential election. It was also during a time of great uncertainty, and this was also limited to Northeast Ohio business leaders only, so it could have a little bit of impact on the findings. But still, let's just go over some things that I found pretty interesting and wanted to share with you. So first of all, business owners talked about how they don't necessarily use decision-making tools beyond some basic things. So they definitely use intuition or gut feeling primarily. That was the number one answer from the vast majority of business leaders. And they also combine those generally with other tools like a SWOT analysis or some other maybe analytics tools, but not necessarily in a way that can help to drive very detailed decision-making processes. Local networking is also part of the decision. They may look into asking for suggestions or input from other people in their community or in their general business network. However, there is still an opportunity, I think, to go beyond just those basic steps, and especially not relying as much on intuition, but coupling that with data-driven analytics, which doesn't have to be as scary as it sounds. It really just means utilizing some tools and software and programs that can help to look at the full scope of how your business is doing within your industry, but also within the competitive space that you're in, making for opportunities to serve customers in a slightly different way than you have been doing historically, and also how to best utilize your resources. Those can be areas that are difficult to find from within the company internally. Even though the answers might be within your company, it's really difficult to find those answers from inside because of human nature, and also just when you get used to something, you don't necessarily see it from a new point of view unless someone else can kind of provide that objective opinion or feedback. So an outside consultant or strategist, or even a software provider who can offer potentially a new perspective, is a great way to get some new information that might be useful in how to use what you're currently doing and make even more informed decisions. The more resources you have at your disposal and the more you're able to apply those, the better your decision-making quality would be. Confidence level, that was one of the questions about how confident are you in your decisions. We found that companies with a smaller revenue level and a smaller number of employees had a lower self-rated confidence level. So they said, I'm a 1 or 2 out of 5 in how confident I feel about my decision compared to larger companies with more revenue and higher employee number. This would also have to do with how comfortable they feel taking risks. And as I mentioned in a couple of videos back on the gender differences in business decision making, male leaders tend to take more risks and to move more quickly and have more aggressive style in their business decisions compared to female owners. And also, of course, different industries require a much more rapid decision-making process. But we did notice that there seemed to be an interesting paradox between the low decision confidence and the high risk appetite for certain businesses, meaning the owners really wanted to take more risks and kind of position their company in a way that potentially could have more harm financially or in the market or competitively. And yet they felt very low confidence levels about that. So basically, they don't think that their decision making is a very strong position, but they are taking very high risks. So that imbalance seems to be an interesting paradox. One way to change that would be to understand your confidence level and how that might correlate with your risk appetite. So become more informed about how you are making decisions. Maybe start to see yourself from another point of view, like analyze the way that you've been making decisions in the last year and the outcomes from that. Maybe be able to analyze how aggressively you are choosing to approach business choices and how those are actually becoming a result that you are looking for. Every business is so different. Every leader is so different in how they approach things. And also, how is your team handling this? Or do they just going along with what you say, or do they have maybe a contrarian point of view that could be useful as a devil's advocate voice within that decision-making process? So that was something that we found surprising, was this kind of difference in how people are approaching their confidence level versus the appetite for taking risks. The third thing was that the founders of the businesses, which were the vast majority of people who answered our survey, and we're so grateful for all 53 participants, the vast majority of those people tend to make decisions without much input from other people, especially in larger firms. So basically, there is a built-in kind of bottleneck process where leaders, founders, owners may tend to hold on to control, even though their company becomes so large that it really would be more beneficial for them to divide out or offload some of those decision-making steps to their team. Of course, this can create consistency, meaning that one person is making the vast majority of strategic decisions, but you can't scale a business very well if one person is the only one who can make high-level choices. It depends, again, on what the owner wants to do with their business. That's completely up to them. There are limits when you decide that as the owner, all the decisions have to go through you. So not only is that an approach that can limit the size and the scalability of the business, but it also can reduce the amount of confidence that top leaders have in that owner or in that top leader. There can be some tension that might drive away people that could potentially offer an alternative point of view that may differ from those owners or may be of great value, but they're afraid to stand up and say something that would make the owner unhappy. So this dynamic is a very good reflection on the culture of the company, which a culture is only possible through the beliefs and the core values of those top leaders. They create the culture and then it trickles down through the rest of the organization. So if there is a tendency for that top leader to be the end-all be-all decision maker, that's going to generally result in the rest of the team acquiescing, giving up their right to make decisions and choosing to kind of be more passive in their role in leadership. And that can really be detrimental to most businesses. It's not a great way to help a business have healthy growth because it's going to hold back those other leaders from taking initiative and from becoming as integral in the strategic growth process as possible. And I personally believe that everyone in the organization, in any organization, can provide strategic ideas and input and innovation if they're asked. I believe that every single employee has some potential to provide great value from their perspective in the business, especially at the foundational staff level at the bottom of the organization. And the higher up the chain you go, I call it corporate ladder bias. When you go up to the very top level of leadership, you tend to forget or just ignore or just not be aware of the value of that bottom layer and the perspective that they can offer. So this over-reliance on people at the very top of the organization to make the decisions for everyone else, regardless of their point of view, can really create a dynamic where other people are not trusted or their view is not important. And I think that's a pretty dangerous place to be. Then another surprising find is that although a large percentage of our respondents do look into using consultants or outside experts, those tend to be in mid-sized to larger organizations, which becomes larger and more complex. There is more of a need for an objective voice or perspective on how to become as efficient as possible or to utilize resources very well. But smaller organizations also have challenges, and leaders at that level, we found through this survey, are as likely to engage an external consultant to help them. The survey results showed that there was less likelihood for a smaller sized organization, or $5 million especially, to hire or bring in an expert outside consultant. Regardless of your previous experience with consultants, and I know there are a lot of bad experiences and consultants that tend to be quite aggressive and pushy, that's really unfortunate, because my point of view is that consultants should provide expertise, but also come alongside and partner with the business owners, because there's so much knowledge already available within the company, and that can be, I believe it can be augmented and made even better. But a lot of consultants tend to come in with a preconceived idea of how to fix or change or improve a company, regardless of how things are currently going. And I've seen that honestly fail quite a lot more than succeed long term. Maybe short term, it can add some extra valuation increase or some sort of short term help. But over the long term, it really changes the dynamic of trust in other employees who might have a much better perspective on what to change or alter than an outside person coming in would have. So I think that if you are looking for help and you're just not sure how to find a good consultant, there are ways to identify individuals and groups and philosophies and ideologies that would align with your business, and also people who are really truly committed to helping you, the owner or leadership team, to succeed in the goals that you have, rather than having someone come in to try to fix a problem that they've decided is the problem that you're facing. There are several ways that external consultants can provide a lot of help. Of course, there are in industry specific consultants and experts, and there are also people that can help with certain projects or solve specific problems for you. But the most important thing is, will you get a return on investment? That's a very important question to ask. And also, what is the potential for them to actually prove that they can help you, rather than bringing more problems and harm to your company, which is another complaint that I've heard quite a bit, not just in the survey, but with discussions with other business owners. It is a very risky thing to bring someone from the outside to fix a problem that they may not even really understand very well. There is a risk to that, but there's also a risk to continuing to run your company without adjusting things as the environment changes. I think that the best type of outside experts will be able to prove the return on investment to you by asking good questions and by demonstrating that they care more about the outcomes and about your experience in making those adjustments from where you are to where you want to be, rather than the other way around, where they're coming in with a preconceived idea of where you should go, trying to push your business that direction. So outside experts and also case studies can help to demonstrate their expertise, and you definitely should not feel like you're being pushed into something. Next, the problems with new products. So one of the opportunities that we found in the survey results was looking for a variety of ways to increase revenue streams. There are some really creative ways that some companies are using to augment or add to their revenue. They can turn products into service offerings that help the product to become more useful to their customers. They can also add products to services that they're currently offering. So this is called productizing a service or servicizing a product. Also, there is a concern that we heard through the survey of cannibalization internally. So existing revenue streams that are basically pulling revenue from other parts of the same business, or maybe sister companies, or basically harming the company by doing things internally that would pull or suck money away from other avenues of revenue. It came up in several different respondents' answers. Of course, there is a fear of falling behind and not keeping up with competitors, but there's also this concern that, are we doing the things that we should internally, or are we so disconnected in how our departments are communicating that we're actually hurting our own business? So this is, again, something that objective expert could provide a lot of value in identifying for you rather than guessing from within the company itself. And it's much easier for someone from the outside to do it for you. The outcome really should be that you have a proactive approach to innovation and to ideas rather than reacting, oh, our competitor's doing something over here, we should do that too. But by stepping into that without maybe doing the proper research or thinking through the entire life cycle of that new product or service, it could actually put more stress and problematic effects on other aspects of your business just because it's a reactive decision to move forward quickly. It depends on the industry, depends on the company and the culture and how people are currently making these decisions, but I have definitely seen a lot of cannibalization that was unintended from within companies' current offerings as they try to expand or grow or look into new options within the market. So finally, the last unexpected finding had to do with enterprise resource planning systems, or ERP. Several of our respondents mentioned this as both something that they are using to help with decision making, but also something that's become a very big problem for them when they're trying to look through the data that's collected from these systems. So this can include business intelligence products, customer services or CRM, customer resource management. It can include enterprise asset management and inventory and production distribution. It can also be difficult to implement this kind of system if it's so robust and so all-encompassing, but it doesn't really fit your business model or your methodologies, or if half your staff is using paper to document and the other half is using cloud-based reporting systems. That can create a huge amount of misinformation, confusion, missed opportunities, and just a lack of clarity about what is happening within the company, especially if manual input, data input is not collected and brought into the entire system. So then it's going to be very difficult to be able to measure what's happening. So ERP is a great idea. It is very useful, especially with companies that are prepared for tech and are set up to have these systems run and integrate into their current methods, their current processes. But if implementation is done without a lot of planning ahead and really bringing the entire team on board with how their role is going to change while using this system, it can create a lot of downstream effects that will really hurt the company long term. Not only is it very expensive to implement the system, it can create a lot of other unexpected loss and challenges with trying to engage certain aspects of your company. Your customer service might be affected. It could also hurt relationships with your employees, and it could drive older but very skilled employees away if they're not comfortable with these new technologies that may actually go against their normal way of doing business and providing the outcomes that you want in your company. So there are a lot of things to consider with these types of systems. I really don't like encouraging companies to implement any software quickly without having thought through the effects of how that's going to impact the rest of their business. So good idea to kind of make sure that you are prepared for these things and think about the downsides as well as the upsides. So of course, a sales team from a tech company is going to try to tell you all the wonderful things, the bells and whistles, how it will solve all these problems, but they may not necessarily be realistic about the challenges and the headaches that they're going to cause. So these are some unexpected findings. Again, you can find this entire report at laconteconsulting.com/Ohio-survey. Really appreciate you checking out this channel. If you want to subscribe, you can get notified of new videos. And if you'd like this video or comment, it will help to share it with others. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and we'll see you in the next one.